Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We got something important to talk about. I'm gonna try to get this video up by Wednesday because it is important, very important actually, and there's a lot of people that I've noticed are kind of concerned about it. And by kind of, I mean very. And it is, of course, some news about Audacity and the fact that they, if you don't know, and I know there are some out there who aren't aware, weren't paying attention, or some people that did hear the news, didn't get all the news, and are now concerned about it. And then there's also some people that are kind of like me that got the news, got all the news, and not really all that concerned about it. Whatever. We're going to talk about it. So, the news is about Audacity and the fact that this open source program, this open source system, which is the best free open source program software that's ever existed in my book. I would say Blender is like a close second. Other than that, it's probably the best because it doesn't matter if you're a filmmaker, it doesn't matter if you do voiceover, it doesn't matter if you do podcasts, music, what have you. Almost everyone can and or has used Audacity. And recently, they got bought out. I don't know why that part, I don't know, but a company buying something that's incredibly popular and then screwing it up does not surprise me. But a company bought Audacity, and the latest version of Audacity had an update, a policy update or whatever, that basically had a line saying, and you can go look it up, but basically had a line saying that they will be recording and taking your information. And they will be selling it to the government or to companies. And they reserve the rights basically to sell your personal information to whoever they want. There's a couple reasons this is happening. Number one, because it is a free program that can't really be monetized any other way. If they had a couple options. Number one, they could leave it alone. They obviously weren't going to do that. They could sell it, as in make it a more premium product and put a price tag on it, making people have to buy it or buy a membership. Or they could monetize it in some way, like how YouTube videos are monetized, where you get ads and then people pay you for them to be able to put ads on your video. So they went with the third one in the worst way. Now, there's tons of companies that would love to have data and information on people who buy or use certain products. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not necessarily a good thing. It can be a bad thing, especially when you don't know who is getting your information and you don't know what information they're getting and when they're getting it, all this kind of stuff. When you have no control over the information about you and how it's being handed off by a third party, that's always going to be a problem. That's a violation of privacy all the time. Now, if it was the company was just storing your information, kind of like how Adobe does, and they store your information so that they can kind of tailor the programs to particular regions and particular kinds of people who use it. And they also take your information if the program crashes on you. If there are bugs, if there are issues, they store that information, know what happens, and then they can try to fix it later on without you having to go to a forum or you having to personally email them. So it's not always a bad thing, but in this case, I really do think it is a bad thing. That them just storing your information and selling it to people so that they can make money off of it. Now, how do we know that that's what they're doing? Well, not only because they say so, but also because they had another update. And personally, I'm gonna be cheeky a little bit in a second. They made a statement that anyone under a certain age, anyone under the age of, I think it was like 14 or something like that, anyone under a certain age that is considered a minor or a child is prohibited from using Audacity. Now, that's not worth anything. They actually can't stop. It's free. They can't actually stop minors from using the program. And the reason is because they want to store people's information. They want to get people's information, personal data and privacy information, and then sell it. They can't do that with kids because of the government, because of the FBI. There's a rule. It's the same thing that happened to YouTube. When YouTube had all these videos, they were being flagged for kids because YouTube was storing people's information, very similar to this, so that they could monetize it. The fact that there were children watching monetized information, it was basically they were taking information from kids, minors and children, and that is illegal, and they got in trouble for it. Well, Audacity doesn't want to get in trouble for that, so they're like, hey, if you're a minor, you can't be... But here's the thing. If a minor still gets the program, still downloads it, and still uses it, and they take the information and sell it, they're in trouble, not you. You don't get in trouble for them doing that. They do. So there's a part of me that really, really, really wants to encourage minors and people under a certain age from using the program. I really, really want to encourage that. Am I? I don't know. But if you're a kid, let's say you're a young YouTuber or vlogger or a Let's Player, whatever, and you're under a certain age, the age that they prohibit from using the program, and you use it, it's free, it's a free country, you can do whatever you want, and they take your information and they get in trouble, they have a couple options. They can either stop taking people's information, just across the board without their consent, or they can get in trouble with the FBI. Going to leave that in their court. Going to leave that right there. Y'all do with that information as you will. Now, I want to put a few fears to rest on this topic because I had to dig deep and had to find out just to confirm something because I wanted to make sure that I got you guys the right information. Now, there's a lot of people that are jumping ship from Audacity completely. You don't have to. The reason is this update, this whole privacy information taking policy is only connected to the latest version of Audacity, which I think is 3.0 or something like that. I'm not sure, but whatever the latest version of Audacity is. Now, here's a couple reasons that's not a problem. Number one, you have to actively go and download the program itself. Audacity is not like Adobe. It doesn't automatically update itself. So any of those kinds of policies, any of that kind of backdoor information grabbing software that's in the latest version of Audacity isn't in your latest version, isn't in your version. If you don't have the latest version, you don't have a problem. If you have 2.9 or whatever's just below the latest version that doesn't have, that, then you're absolutely fine. There's literally no problem. There's other forums, there's a huge community talking about it right now, and there's ways of finding, there's people storing and cataloging the version that's just before the latest version, so that's going to be readily available. I don't know if I will have a link to that version, to whatever the safest version is on this video. I'll try to find one. If I don't, you can just look it up. Either way, whatever version, if you currently have it and you did not update to the latest version, you're fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong. The program that you have, the version of Audacity that you have, will function and still run. There's nothing they can do on their end to make yours crash. They're not going to hard lock it like an iPhone. You know, when the oldest version of iPhone, they put an update on it to basically brick it in some way or use its battery life faster, so you're forced to buy a new one. They can't do that with Audacity. It's not going to happen. It's not like Adobe. It's not like other programs. It can't happen. You've downloaded it on the computer. It's permanently there. There's nothing wrong with it. It's totally fine to use. So, for those of you out there who are concerned about this, and I know there's a lot of you, I was concerned about it for about an hour before I did some digging. But outside of getting the latest version, there's nothing wrong with it. Now, I will probably do a video at some point on alternatives to Adobe or Audacity, trying to find the best free software, because that's really the key. Audacity is well known for being very versatile, very well constructed, open source, so other people can fix it and tweak it, but also being free. So those are going to be kind of the key features you got to look for. I'm sure maybe they will learn from their mistakes. Maybe they'll continue having a free version, but then have a premium version that you can buy that's going to be more like Pro Tools or something like that. I would actually be okay with that if they still had the free version, and then they made a more chunkier, heavier one that can record multiple channels at the same time. That would be interesting. Version that you could also buy, and then they could basically make a profit off that version. That would be fine. And then totally take away the privacy information grabbing thing off the free version. Then I think they'd be fine. It would still kind of suck that this beacon of free open source creativity was basically just ripped from us in some way. Not completely, but in some way. Does kind of suck. It is kind of a bummer. But I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's that bad. There's a lot of people saying that Audacity is now spyware. Only one version is spyware so far. But that's it. There you go. That's all I got for you for right now. Maybe I'll do a follow-up if things change. But there's a good chance that the community that basically made Audacity what it is will make their own and make another one. Basically rebrand it, repurpose it. Maybe they'll use the previous version or the most up-to-date that isn't the spyware version and make that a launching platform for a new product. Maybe they'll do that and keep it free. That kind of stuff has happened before. It's happened many, many times. So it's not the end of the world. I'm not too worried about it. I'm not stressed about it. I would say, however, there might be some clients that might be concerned on some level and might be worried that you're using Audacity on their project and they don't want any of that information shared, considering a lot of people don't know what's being stored and what's being grabbed. So you may have to do some communicating with clients on that level. You may have to ensure them that everything's fine because, your version doesn't have that. You may have to do a little bit of that. I don't know. However, this could be the push in the right direction for most of us to look into alternatives, to look into getting the more pro software. That's not a bad thing. It's totally not a bad thing. I mean, I already have accounts in other programs. I'm fine if Audacity just, for some reason, just bricked and just shut down. I would be able to continue working. It's not that big a deal. It would be a little bit of a hassle because my workflow is a whole lot faster in Audacity because I've been using it for like 14 years. It's not that big a deal. It's not going to hurt me. And don't let it bother you. Just remember, don't update if you haven't updated in months. And then you'll be fine. That's it. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Totally fine. Subscribe if you're new, bell for notifications, and leave down in the comments section below. Like to see me cover any other topics. If you want to personally talk to me on some level, you can find my email is down in the description, FunnyGuyTimmy@gmail.com. And there you go. That's going to be it. And until next time, peace.